Know what your California rental property is worth. You look at your rent roll, you see the numbers, and you think you're in the ballpark. But I'm here to tell you that for most independent landlords like you, there's a silent, insidious pricing gap draining thousands of dollars from your pockets every single year. This isn't about rent control, it's about your own lease renewal habits systematically underpricing your units. That $8,000 you think you're making, a significant chunk of it is disappearing because you're leaving money on the table, money you are legally entitled to collect. The scary part, you're likely doing it to yourself. Let's do some math. You have a unit renting for $2,000 a month. Market rate for that unit is $2,075. That's a $75 difference. Doesn't seem like much, right? $75 a month times 12 months is $900 a year. For one unit. Now, imagine you have 5 units, and you're consistently $75 below market on each. That's $4,500 annually you are simply not collecting. Over 3 years, that's $13,500. But here's the kicker. That gap compounds. If market rent increases by, say, 3% each year, and you're only raising rent by 1 to 2% or not at all, that $75 gap widens. In 3 years, that initial $75 gap plus the lost market appreciation could easily translate to a $27,000 loss across your 5 units. This isn't theoretical, it's a direct calculation of lost revenue. A rent gap of just $100 per month below market costs you $1,200 per year per unit. On a 5-unit portfolio, that's $6,000 annually that you are legally entitled to but simply not collecting. Now here's where it gets interesting. You're smart. You're diligent. So why are you leaving money on the table? The answer lies in human psychology, the anchor price trap and social discomfort. When you first lease that unit, let's say at $2,000, that number becomes your mental anchor. Every subsequent rent increase feels like a deviation from that number, not from the current market rate. You justify smaller increases or no increases with phrases like, "I don't want to rock the boat," or "they're good tenants." You prioritize avoiding a potentially awkward conversation over optimizing your asset's performance. This leads to a compounding rent lag that after 3 to 5 years often leaves you 12 to 22% below market on stabilized units. This gap is mathematically harder to recover from than a single vacancy. The perceived hassle of a rent increase conversation is far less costly than the cumulative loss of thousands of dollars. But wait, there's a catch, or rather, a common misconception. Many of you immediately think, rent control, I can't raise rents that much. Let's be clear about California's AB 1482 rent increase limits. For covered units, it caps annual increases at 5% plus the local consumer price index, CPI, with a maximum of 10%. That's a significant increase potential, often more than you're currently implementing. However, many independent landlords overlook a critical detail. AB 1482 has exemptions. Single-family homes built after 2007 and many condos are fully exempt from these caps, provided you provide proper notice to the tenant. Most landlords never verify their own exemption status, automatically assuming they're covered and limiting their potential income. That means you might have the legal right to raise rents much closer to true market rate, but you're not exercising it. This is a crucial aspect of how to raise rent in California effectively. So how do you fix this? You need a systematic approach. 60 days before every lease renewal, perform a 60-day renewal audit. Step 1. Determine your unit's true market rate. Don't just eyeball Zillow. Look at recently leased comparable properties in your specific neighborhood, not just your city. Use professional tools or real estate agents who specialize in rentals. Step 2. Verify your AB 1482 exemption status. Is your property a single-family home or condo built after 2007? Is it owner-occupied? If so, you might be exempt. Consult the law, or better yet, your attorney. Step 3. Calculate your maximum allowable increase if you are covered by AB 1482, 5% plus CPI, max 10%. Step 4. Compare your current rent to the true market rate, and then to your maximum allowable increase. The good tenant discount is real but must be calculated deliberately. A $75 per month concession should be weighed against actual turnover costs, $3,500 to $6,000 in California, not given away by default out of conflict avoidance. If your market rate is significantly higher than your current rent, and you're exempt, you have a much larger window. If you're covered, you still have 5% plus CPI to work with, which is likely more than you're currently applying. This market rent analysis is fundamental for any self-managing landlord. Now for the inevitable question, how do you deliver a rent increase without losing a good tenant? It's not just about the number, it's about the delivery. First, timing is critical. Deliver the rent increase notification 90 days before the lease renewal, not the standard 60. This gives your tenant more time to process, plan, and reduces the feeling of being ambushed. Second, use the value bridge method. This involves a written letter that doesn't just state the new rent, but also recaps the value you provide. List any improvements you've made to the property: new appliance, fresh paint, landscaping. Acknowledge their positive tenancy, on-time payments, property care, good communication. Crucially, include market comparables. Show them, don't just tell them, that your new rent is in line with the market. For example, your rent will increase to $2,100, which, even with the increase, remains competitive with similar two-bedroom units in the neighborhood name area, currently leasing for $2,150 to $2,250. This shifts the conversation from an arbitrary number to a data-backed market adjustment. This approach, delivering a rent increase 90 days before renewal with a written value recap letter, listing improvements, on-time payment acknowledgement, and market comps, reduces pushback and turnover risk compared to a standard 60-day notice alone. A rent gap of just $100 per month below market costs you $1,200 per year per unit. On a 5-unit portfolio, that's $6,000 annually that you are legally entitled to but simply not collecting. AB 1482 caps annual increases at 5% plus local CPI, max 10% for covered units, but single-family homes built after 2007 and many condos are fully exempt. Most landlords never verify their own exemption status. The good tenant discount is real but must be calculated deliberately. A $75 per month concession should be weighed against actual turnover costs, $3,500 to $6,000 in California, not given away by default out of conflict avoidance. Delivering a rent increase 90 days before renewal with a written value recap letter, listing improvements, on-time payment acknowledgement, and market comps reduces pushback and turnover risk compared to a standard 60-day notice alone. Stop letting social discomfort or outdated assumptions cost you thousands. Take control of your rent roll, powered by LeaseBase intelligence.